Hi, everyone. This is Julia.
And this is Chris. And this is episode number 32 of the Mixology Talk podcast. So in the last 10 years, craft cocktail culture has finally started to make its way out of the obscure kind of speakeasies and into common culture. With it, some fantastic classic cocktails are back on the menu, drinks like the Manhattans and the Old Fashions.
But while it's getting easier to find unusual cocktails, there are still a lot of fantastic drinks out there that very few people have heard of, and that's where we come in.
So today we're going to be talking about 5 cocktails that we felt were both underrated and underrepresented on cocktail menus.
So let's get into it with number 1, the Pimm's Cup.
So for all of you that have never heard of the Pimm's Cup, it is the signature cocktail for Wimbledon, that funny little tennis game. So,
which you know all about from that time you were playing in it, right?
Yeah, that one time that I did that thing. And I was
Totally.
That thing. Totally.
I remember that.
So, but in my opinion, this is a great all-around cocktail. I'll admit there's definitely more focused on the spring and summer drinks, but if you're listening to this when it comes out in January 2015, you may want to wait a bit on this one.
Unless you're in the Southern Hemisphere.
And in that case, have a Pimm's Cup, mate.
I think there's more than just Australia in the Southern Hemisphere.
That's the only accent I know, though, so...
You can't do a good, Filipino accent?
Did you hear the accent I did? I can't do any accents good.
Anyway, the Pimm's Cup is a great cocktail, and it is extremely simple. So what's in it?
So a Pimm's Cup is made with Pimm's number 1. We'll get to that later. I know you have a question, so put your hands down. Lemon juice and ginger ale. And it's typically garnished with a bunch of fruit, and you can put some cucumbers in there as well.
Now, can I ask my question?
Please.
What is Pimm's number 1? What on earth is that?
So it's actually called Pimm's number 1, and it's made with gin. So my understanding is that there used to be a lot of different numbers, Pimm's number 2, Pimm's number 3, all the way up to Pimm's number 6 or 7. But Pimm's number 1 was always the most popular, and many of the others are no longer on the market. So Pimm's number 1 is made with gin as its base, but has a lower alcohol content than gin, coming in around 25%. It's made with herbs, spices, citrus, and it's a bit like Amaro in flavor, actually.
Sounds amazing. Do we have any that we can try?
Nope, sorry. Just, we're all out.
That seems suspicious. All right, on to number 2.
So that's a really good point and a great reason to choose a Negroni. The thing I like best about the Negroni is how incredibly flexible this cocktail is. You have 3 ingredients. You have Campari, sweet vermouth, and gin for the original recipe, and that's just the beginning. You can easily substitute nearly any bitter liqueur like an Amaro for the Campari, or you can swap out the gin for other spirits. For the most part, if you're keeping your proportions the same, you should end up with something pretty damn tasty.
And once again, no citrus. So this is a really good option if you're all out of lemons and limes and you don't want to make the trek to the grocery store.
Exactly. So that brings us to number 3. Not to be confused with the tasty baked dish, the sherry cobbler is an awesome drink that just doesn't get a fair share of attention. Now, there are 2 main reasons you should drink it. The first is sherry. And guess what the other one is? Anyone?
Giraffes.
Cobbler!
I totally saw that coming. I see what you did there.
Nah, so yeah, watch out. I'm pretty clever when it comes to the words.
Lots of clever words coming. In the last 6 months, I've suddenly been hearing a lot about bars and restaurants using sherry, but I feel like they know something we don't, because when I think about sherry, I still think of my grandmother and the battery acid she used to drink.
And you're not the only one. Cheap sherry can definitely taste like that. But sherry is a really fantastic fortified wine that's extremely affordable. You can get a decent bottle of sherry around $20 and a great one for under $30. But I think the best part about sherry is how varied it is. The depth of flavor and nuances you find across the many varieties of sherry are untouchable in the spirits world.
Good to know. And for the cobbler part, well, as much as I like the baked kind, the liquid kind is pretty good too. It's typically made with spirit, which is usually a form of wine, sugar, and fruit. It's an awesome drink for summertime because obviously you've got lots of fruit to choose from, but you can really adjust for any season. For the winter, for example, you could see maybe a sherry apple cobbler or maybe a sherry pear cobbler, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty damn good baked treat anyways.
I know. Maybe I'll make an actual baked sherry pear cobbler.
I know. It sounds good.
Does it count as cocktail pairing if it's actually the exact same thing?
Nah.
Sharing sherry pear cobbler with sherry pear cobbler.
I'm going to give that one to you. Sure. Totally.
We're going to have to try that.
So definitely. And the sherry cobbler was, according to David Wondrich, who knows a thing or two about cocktails.
I've heard that rumor.
Yeah, it was one of the most popular cocktails in the late 18th century. I think sherry's grandma reputation came from the fact that a lot of our grandmothers were drinking it when they were young.
So definitely don't discount this cocktail and go have some fun with it. Sherry is inexpensive and the cobbler is extremely flexible, so it's kind of hard to mess it up. Toss some sugar in there, you're in business. Number 4 is arguably the worst name for a cocktail that I've ever heard. The Brandy Crusta. Isn't that a terrible... Crusta? Whose idea was that? Does not make me thirsty.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give that one to you. But the rumor is that the Brandy Crusta was one of the most popular alcoholic drinks before Prohibition, even more popular than the class of cocktails known as a cocktail. Yeah, cocktail. How meta is that? What it lacks in its unappealing name, it definitely makes up for it in its appearance. The crusta is typically garnished with a wide piece of lemon peel and a sugar rim, making for an impressive and unusual look.
Okay, I'll give you that. So what's in a brandy crusta then?
So the brandy crusta is typically made of cognac or brandy, orange liqueur, maraschino, that's how you say it, liqueur, lemon juice, and Angostura bitters. What I like about this drink is that other ingredients are really intended to highlight the brandy or the cognac and not to cover it up. So you'll definitely want to choose something really high quality and a cognac or a brandy that you would drink on its own.
It sounds amazing. So how did it get such a terrible name? Why is it called a crusta?
Well, there's some debate about that. I've heard some people say it's because of the wide peel of lemon that rests above the rim of a sugar-rimmed wine glass. I'm not sure what's so crusty about that, but that's the rumor on the internet.
So it must be true.
It's got to be true if the internet says it is. But if anybody knows the story, I'd love to know. Let us know in the comments over at mixologytalk.com/32.
Wait a minute. Is this whole podcast just a clever ruse to get the public to answer all of your unanswerable cocktail questions?
I plead the fifth.
I had a sneaky suspicion.
But if you know, seriously, let me know.
I have my concerns.
And now for the last part of this list. You can even say that we're speaking the last words of this podcast.
I get the weirdest sense you're hinting at something.
The last word!
Oh my gosh, that was terrible.
So apparently Murray Stinson made this cocktail popular again when he served it in Seattle, and folks caught on very quickly, and it stirred up a bit of a revival for this cocktail.
And a good thing, too. I think the last word is both a great drink and a way better cocktail name than the Crusta. So what's so great about the last word?
So there's something classic and simple about this cocktail. It has great balance, equal proportion cocktail, meaning all ingredients are used in the same amounts, and is a great example of balancing acid in a cocktail without using simple syrups or other classic sweeteners like that.
Right. I feel like you're using, what was it, maraschino liqueur?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And a last word is made of 3/4 ounce each of gin, lime juice, maraschino liqueur, and green chartreuse.
Wait a minute. Did you say green chartreuse?
Yeah, I snuck that guy in there at the end.
Once again, man, how many times are you going to sneak green chartreuse into our podcast? I think you have a green chartreuse problem.
No problem. But I'm going to do it as much as possible, let me tell you.
I think I have a green chartreuse problem, and its name is Chris. Well, that is the list, everyone.
Hopefully this list has given you 1 or 2 cocktails to order the next time you visit your local cocktail bar.
And hopefully they'll know how to make it.
Yeah, so some of these are a bit obscure, but you should be okay with the Negroni or the last word at the very least.
So thanks again for joining us, and if you have any suggestions for cocktails that you think deserve a bit more attention, come head over to mixologytalk.com/32 and let us know. I am always looking for more underdog cocktails to ask Chris to make for me.
Wait a second.
Thanks again, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Never miss an episode by subscribing in iTunes or YouTube. And as always, check out the show notes by clicking on the right.